Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, from the Great Midwest. RDV is joining me in the Xtreme Studios to talk about our continuing coverage of Fallout Season 2, Episode 5, The Wrangler. Not to be confused with the TJ Hooker episode, The Warbler, where he knows how
Right.
to speak with deaf people and pigeons, and also not to be confused with The Gambler with Kenny Loggins, who I'm still mad about from the old movie Six Pack, even though it had Diane Lane in it, I think is a very young girl. RDV, episode 5. I'm going to the refrigerator. I'm going to crack open a cold one because, man, just when you got one at a death claw, you got a death claw. And then just when you wanted to get a death claw, they took it away from you.
Yeah,
I'm
we
trying
had
hard not to yell right now, sir. To
we
give me something.
so we had 4 death claws. Turns out there's because I was wondering like the last episode we got the death claw finally. Like, are they gonna fight this? And said they basically realized, well, we're not gonna be suicide to fight it, So and then they realized there's like 4 of them. They're surrounded. So they're hiding and they don't really have much weapons. They could take them out unless you have a rocket launcher, because he saw how like gunfire did nothing to these things. So he wasn't gonna fight it. So we see the dog run out the gate, and he's like, "Well, that's our way out." So he has a grenade, puts it in the bag, throws it over, and then shoots it, causing a distraction. And then him and Lucy decide to run and slide a baseball slide under a gate.
Let
Now
me ask
I
you
was
a
expecting
question
her
about
to get
this.
caught,
Yeah.
but then after that, this supposedly these indestructible things can't knock over
Mhm.
a chain link fence that has aluminum or steel on the outside. Like that's supposed to
You were
keep it
talking
out.
about these death claws for a while, so it
Yeah.
makes me beg the question: How did this lack of anything happening make you feel?
Well, I felt cheated, honestly. Um.
Is 4 death claws better than 1 death claw?
Well,
Especially if they're all CGI at night, you can hardly see them.
so if a death claw's not killing anybody, it's not worth the money.
If a
Um.
death claw roars in a irradiated city full of mutants, but doesn't do anything, does anybody hear it?
Well, if a death claw doesn't cause death, it's just a claw.
You got fucked here
Yeah.
because you were looking for a big type of thing. We got a tease at the end, so we're all hyped to come in here,
And it was
and you
over
get
within an
screwed.
instant.
Yeah. It's this is dog. This is bullshit. No, it really is. This is an awful way to end an episode, start one. You gotta end it
And
like that. Tease us. Okay, put us in something. Here's what I honestly thought. I thought this would have been kind of funny if they're being a little kind of cutesy and gamesmanship. Okay, Lucy's kind of been under the thing of drugs. He gave her a speech about taking more drugs or going cold turkey, right?
yes,
I thought, oh, she's going to lose it and just go ape shit like with her little pew 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 pistol gun on it, and then be like,
exactly.
oh shit, we got to run, and he's like, no shit. Then maybe they run somewhere and they don't even do
Nope.
that.
No. Instead, it's
Mhm.
over within 5 seconds, and then they just kind of forget about the episode. Oh, and like the one guy's, oh yeah, there's a bunch of death claws, and and then walking around there, but no one in town's afraid of them. Like these are the most like feared like creatures in like the world of Fallout. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't like the giant cockroaches. Those are disgusting too, or scorpions. But death claws are supposed to be like the Hulk. You don't want to go near them. What's up, Sophie? What's over on watching on the vertical stream? Yeah. 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 I didn't care for that. I thought that was such a waste of like just CGI and everything. I just no. Could I at least had him fire a gun at one of them? Like it would have been a more fun thing. See, because you see how he's like, hey, at least we got the dog here, and so the dog's like, well, fuck you, and runs out. He's like, well, fuck you too, dog. Like I wanted a little bit of comedy. Instead, there was not much at all. It's uh so yeah, it was over within within like a minute or two, and it was just
That's
annoying.
bait and switch, man.
Yeah.
Come on, writers, give it to us. Come on.
So
We're in Vegas here. We're supposed to be looking for Kyle, the FBI agent, on his way to Twin
yeah,
Peaks, because that's how I like to think of him and all that. And then we go from a dud
yeah.
to the conspiracy theory kind of sort of part of it when it was some flashbacks. So this is about putting me to sleep. Talk about it for a minute. What did you think?
What just the next episode, the next part of that was just
Well, you know, when they're going back and you're starting to realize that, hey, he's talking quietly on the phone, just like in the old spy movies from the
oh
70s.
the flashbacks and the
And he's
flashbacks.
got some little poison because he's going to get the fusion cell, and you're like, I don't care about any of this. Do you?
So honestly, I do because
Okay.
I want to because the whole you forget Lucy's a main character, but so is Howard,
Mhm.
and I need something to happen with Howard, and stuff like this. I need a conclusion to this because we've invested so much time with Howard and Lucy together, and their paths come together for a reason. And as we learn through this episode, we find out that basically, well, we're led to believe that Vaultek dropped the bomb, or at least maybe Robert House, dropped the bomb. The guy who runs Vegas.
Mhm.
But as Howard goes there, and he's immediately picked up, at the casino, and he said, and he was brought down for Howard, and he's like, so you're gonna kill me? He's like, no. He's like, I ain't gonna do that shit. He's like, yeah, well, you would have been dead because the minute you walked in, you weren't supposed to be here, and he knows that you were at the meeting. He reveals. It's like,
Mhm.
and it's just them kind of like him confiding in Howard and telling him, hey, basically, it's like, I'm not the one who's going to drop the bomb. It's like, in fact, I'm trying to stop, or at least, keep the Vegas going. He's trying to get a fusion core from Vaultek, yes, but he talks about uploading his conscience to the computer system robotics
Mhm.
so he could survive, kind of like a glitch in the Matrix or like an AI programmer. Like anyway,
Let me
and
segue off that for a minute because I think the rest of the episode for me, kind of illustrates a point, whether we talk about the writing and all that. In the last episode, we talked a little bit about the different factions and how they're
mhm,
represented, whether we think it's accurate or not. But one of the concepts was that when you're playing the game, no matter how you choose to evolve your character and how you
mhm,
play it yourself and all that, there's all these factions. So there's politics involved. So whether it's right, wrong, or otherwise, there's sides to it, and we're seeing all these different groups. The only politics we're getting is the stuff for about, kind of like when they do a lot of the flashbacks
yeah,
and then kind of jumps. I think that's a bit of a disconnect. I don't mind them having it, but sometimes you have an idea and you have an ambiguous ending, and you let people decide for themselves, well, maybe who dropped the bomb or who did this or did this person really die? And I get that in terms of storytelling. Here, I hope that they've clearly in their mind as writers up to now, because they've dragged things on really slow and
yeah,
really haven't advanced them. They know who the faction or person is that did it, whether it's this guy or whether it's China or whether it's this, that they know who it was in their mind as they wrote the story, because that should be prevalent. It shouldn't necessarily matter in the current times where we're watching Lucy and the Ghoul do all that, because at the heart it's a Western, right? They're going
mhm,
from town to town. She's trying to look for her father. He's going there with her and all that. And like we said, that's been the biggest plus for us. I mean, a lot of the bigger games like this, and a game that even came out right around the same time called Deus Ex, the very first one there too, that
mhm,
has a lot of Illuminati, Freemasonry type stuff. It's all about what they call a singularity, which is when you take your consciousness, can you then upload it
yeah,
into a computer? And that's where like Bill Gates and is interested in, these billionaires, particularly Elon Musk. That's called transhumanism. So it's interesting that these older ideas that nobody ever really knew of or heard about, or were
mhm,
old science fiction ideas, you're starting to see in like video games and like out stuff like this in recent movies too. Because I don't know if they're trying to do that, but I can almost see it, it gets a little weird, especially with the way people think about the billionaires, about what's going on, and some modern day political sort of stuff there too. But that's just a bit of a stretch on my part. I'm saying that because when they go back to the old times here, the spy stuff's just not working for me, even though I love spy stuff. So I didn't know how you felt about all this too. Although I do pop for the guy trying to put the chip in everybody's neck. We've been seeing that for a little bit.
yeah. You're thinking of the dad, yeah, um, yeah. So like I said, Cooper, I guess it was kind of shocked, to see the guy from the bathroom of the veterans thing. It turns out to be Robert Hollis, and like they kind of have understanding and talking, and Robert, I love Robert. Drops it's like he's like, I don't even think he's like, Vaultek, you think they're gonna drop the bomb? No, they're a bunch of bureaucrats. Now, the person I would be worried about is your wife. You know, she seems like she has ulterior ambitions, but but Robert House says, like, here's the one thing though. It's like, I'm the guy who's trying to find the guy who's behind all the mess. You and I are both on the same side. Because he talks about the death clause and stuff. It's like he just mentions how I saw your footage, through your robotic, your power suit and everything. So I know about Alaska. So they're really basically alluding that there's an elusive man, and it's not Robert House. Cooper was just originally because he originally said, I'm not going to kill the guy, I'm going to kill her. He was going to steal the fusion core and stuff, but he doesn't do that. Instead, the guy, he says in a fit of rage, because he's kind of having a nervous breakdown a little bit. Cooper basically yells the guy, says like, "Oh, Robert, like maybe you're the one that's crazy and saying nuts, and he's like, always the cowboy. He's like, and as Cooper ends up getting drunk, you see him riding like basically an animal, a nuke. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Dr. Strangelove.
Oh yeah,
yeah, dropping the bomb. Riding the bomb because you're kind of losing your insanity. I love the bomb and stuff. And like it was like, oh, that's actually kind of funny stuff. And when he falls over, and he pretty much, his wife picks him up, takes him in the room, and she's kind of like nursing him stuff, she basically said, he says to her, he's like, we need to talk. It's revealing that they're going to have the conversation, that he knows everything. Because I'm pretty sure she knows. I guarantee you she knows that he knows everything.
But that writing, we need to talk, that implies, like divorce, like we're having the conversation,
not divorce. The fact he's not talking about everything else.
You see how they wrote it.
Yeah, yes.
We need to talk. But, it's serious.
So that's him having a flashback in the bar and stuff, But also, we learned that we talked about Lucy's dad, pretty much, he comes across this guy who's a snake oil salesman who's basically a ghoul, and he basically got from Thaddeus. He's the fusion core they previously got from him, and he's just basically going through, and it's kind of like these weird songs playing, like, oh, I'm a lucky guy and stuff. Then he gets attacked by a rag roach. I thought that was kind of hilarious though, a little bit.
Stuff like that works though.
Yeah.
When it shows the video game, it works.
And he's like, he's like, fuck you, rag roach. He's killing and stuff, and then, of course, Hank appears behind him, and then Hank knocks him out. And then we see in the Vault Attack in New Vegas, Hank's going to just driving, and it's always, I love this Hank. He's always like in the swimsuit and stuff. He's got a little go-kart going through, and he's driving. And then we see, past the crowd tanks, we see Cooper's wife and daughter, the crowd tanks. And we don't know if they're in there, but we're implied that they're in there because you see their name on the plates on there. And he takes the snakes on his way, and he's like, well, how would you like, if I could take away your decisions, all stuff, your past mistakes, and I control you? He's like, okay. And he's got the device in the guy's neck, keeps crazy. And it's kind of almost like this scene reminded me of Little Shop of Horrors, Bill Murray and Steve Martin. And he's like, ooh, it tickles and all the pain stuff. And finally he's like, oh, it actually works. The head didn't explode. So, Henry's going to use him later on, but yeah, up to this point, the episode has been kind of. I agree with you. There's parts I don't care about. I'm glad we didn't have Maximus in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just can't go through any more of the Brotherhood of Steel. But I do. But we're getting a lot of names being dropped in here too. Because remember, a couple episodes we had the Legion.
Mm-hmm.
The bartender, it says that about how it's like, when he mentioned about the death clause, he said like, it's one thing or another. It's like we're always under oppression, whether it's the Legion, and just the faction, or another one is the Secretions, which is basically Securitrons. Those are the robo security things, which Robert had in his office.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love those things.
Played the games, you've seen them.
Yeah. It's kind of like Claptrap from Borderlands, thing. I love seeing like the 1950s technology, robotic stuff. But yeah, so after we get the Vault-Tec headquarters,
But like during the day, they have the set pieces, right?
Yeah.
Lucy's, she's tripping, so he's like, hey, you can go to the store here and buy.
Well, that's not yet though.
I know, but I'm just saying, when this episode is doing this kinds of things, like the
Yeah.
stuff with Lucy, I thought, okay, this is entertaining. This is fun to watch. When she walks in there and gets it, and with what happens and everything too. So
Hmm.
the high level conspiracy kind of stuff and just the flashbacks, it's like, why do we care?
Well,
As a viewer, why do we care? We know that she wants to, like I say, go see her father. The goal wants to find his family. That's enough. They're trying to
because
make
the whole point is to find out who dropped the bomb, and they're
Mhm.
trying to build up the fact that they're looking at maybe it was Lucy's father that is the one that started the war, started the whole thing, and we already know he dropped the bomb on the Shady Sands,
Mhm.
did that. So why? I mean, he's the ultimate suspect, but what if he's not the big bad guy?
But does it
Uh,
matter who the big bad guy is?
well,
And
for me it does.
the current world with Lucy, let's say, why does it matter?
For me, I mean, I like having
For any viewer, though, is what I'm saying. Oh, we find out. Let's just say it's NCR. I'm just making it up, right? Somehow the NCR dropped it, and so the World War started, and that was
because I would love this. Like I said, if you have a guy like Lucy's father who's a sadistic sort of person, I would love to see there's someone who's even worse than him. I love having a good villain.
But if it happened,
Because right now, right now, the only reason I like your dad because
well, it may not be dead, but still.
The only reason I like your dad right now because he's kind of funny. Like but he hasn't been really like threatening at all.
Oh, I totally agree with you, and that's the whole thing. If we're going to keep it like video game-ish, even though he's going to be like the bad guy in cartoonish, okay, that's fine. But the spy stuff implies the parallels to the communism and the Red Scare we had here in the United States, and so it almost feels a bit more serious. And while that kind of stuff's usually kind of cool, it really contrasts against what's happening here in the video game stuff. Yeah, the death claws we get screwed out here, but that's at night and looks like really shitty CGI, and they don't do anything with it. That's a waste. They should have scrapped all that, did a little bit more to set pieces, because when they're walking around, what I do like, and we talked about this with some of the signs, her outfit in particular, the way the ghoul looks, when they fashion things like that walking around, it feels cool. You almost feel like you're watching two people while a game is being played, and it really makes you feel like it's a Fallout game. Otherwise, it's like a throwback spy thriller. So it also just disrupts the rhythm a little bit too, I think. It's not very clear with all the factions and everything what they're doing, and it's just that's why this episode's very kind of like hot and cold for me here too, going up to the end part of it.
To be honestly, that's how the games were for me. I never was really a fan of the Fallout games.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like they were just the story was weak, and it was pretty much just you just going around and shooting, destroying things. That's all it was, and being forced to use his BAPS or whatever it's called, system.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was kind of annoying. But I had friends who were really into the stuff, like because this is based off of New Vegas,
mm-hmm.
and obviously this is gonna be AU. It's not gonna be anything like the game. They're gonna have some things about their elements from the game, like we get a power glove later on.
Yes,
but yeah, it's if you're watching the show expecting me exactly like the game, you're not gonna get that story because you're just gonna get like every other story. You're gonna have conspiracy. Just like you had in the game, there's who do you trust? That's the whole concept, and it's So if you're expecting a really strong story, you're not going to get that. So I go into a lot of these shows based on video games,
mm-hmm.
It's really like perfect example, video game movies. You go into it knowing, okay, they have a track record of not being great. So I'm not going to be in there expecting to be like, okay, what does it matter? I'm watching because I know it's going to be bad, but I want to watch it because there might be some gory scenes or something I recognize from the game,
mm-hmm.
and that's the only reason I'm watching the show because of that.
I'm looking at 2 Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. So, but I want to get So getting on to where Norm, we get back to Norm because Norm right now is my most favorite kind of part story right now.
Okay.
Because Norm is not Lucy. He's a guy who basically was kind of a quiet guy, overlooked and stuff, kind of a weak guy, and he's becoming a man. He's actually got a backbone. He led these survivors out of he released them, even though he's told not to, but he released them out of their cryo chambers. These guys work for Bud, and so they escaped out of there. Now he's been flirting with this girl, kind of being sympathizing to her, and she reveals that she's going there before they were cryo froze. They were only for a week, and she finally reveals in this episode after they reach the Vault-Tec, and and find a computer. And she's like, hey, I know you're not, part of Blood's thing, because she's like, I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, you're not crazy like the rest of them, and said, I only work a week. So of course, and here's the other thing too. He was going through files and he comes across Barbara Howard's desk with an active computer. And this is where we get the virus. So apparently she had, I don't know if it was released or whatever. Maybe is she behind the death clause? Like experimentation stuff? Because there was like a virus she had. I forget what it's called. But it was like well,
it's kind of like there's interesting ways that they could take this, because again, if you use the video game lore, you could say, oh, there's secrets from the Institute, which would be a faction you could do, or something else. So they could play it a lot of different ways, but they're really just kind of trying to balance the three things, because they actually seemed like they were starting to get going with the vault stuff and everything too, with the guy being locked in and the water shortage and everything else there too. But it's just like I say, it kind of takes away from it, right? I mean, but they should be able to hack those computers and get into them from those vaults and figure out some of these information. You don't see anybody trying that.
Well, here's the thing. It's called a local network. Not everything's connected.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So the virus was called a forced evolutionary virus, which is part of the games. Artificial virus, created by Vault-Tec, and as basically Ronnie shows up, and he's gonna goon. And this, he's the one that's kind of been like, the big kind of strong guy, kind of like, and because you're gonna have a David versus Goliath, battle. What's gonna happen. This guy hears and he strangles Norm, almost near to death, and he's saying, you lied to us, stuff, and they cut it off, so it goes black. So we don't know what happens to Norm. We're like, we don't see him; he's being choked out.
Yeah.
I don't know if Norm's new girl is gonna save him, or if he's gonna like grab something and stab the guy in the neck.
Norm lives. Watch. That's my guess.
Well, my thing is like we got everything going on with Lucy and her father. I like Norm is just almost like a side quest, like a DLC. It's like, man, like this is not connected to anything else right now, and is like, is Norm gonna be the one that comes and saves Lucy, like save the day, and be like, oh shit, Norm's here, like, because he's told by these two women that were squatting inside the Vault-Tec that they met his sister, and or at least she's most likely dead if she's up here, because Vaulties don't survive up here. Obviously, they're because they're too nice, or just
they don't know.
They don't know. They don't have like it's like you take a yuppie, a guy who's basically been spoon-fed, a silver platter, everything, and just never had to do anything. You throw him on the streets with no money. Either you sink or swim, and most people would probably like, if you're forced to be homeless, you either fight or you die. That's kind of So I've been liking that story with Norm, because through Norm we're learning more about Vault-Tec too.
But again, he's a character that has something to do.
Yes.
Whether it's a mystery or not, or whatever, he's got a quest. Boom, you can understand it, and so you're looking at it when he's on screen from his perspective. So that makes it move forward to me.
Yeah, Lucy hasn't really done much at all. She has Cooper, pretty much to help her with everything. So in this season, so it's like she's killed some people. Yeah, she the zombies, the ghouls that were in the Elvis impersonators last episode. But her only interesting arc for her is that she tried drugs, and then this episode he told her like, hey, Cooper's like, go in here, go in this place over there, get your detox medicine, and you'll be fine. Instead, she walks in the back door. She sees the back door's open. She walks in there and she's looking, and she sees the power glove. She's gonna steal. She doesn't want to spend the bottle caps, and she gets confronted. She sees a guy in a barrel. Like, well, who's that? And then she sees. Then she's confronted she's caught by one of the guys. This guy, obviously, who basically is wearing a uniform. He's too little for him. And say, oh yeah, the owner left. He's like, and she's like, that's not him in the barrel. It's like, oh no, that's a robber. He came in here and tried to rob us. It's like, she's like, without his clothes on. She's like, yeah. He's like, come. And then so the guy, she's like, don't pull their gun. The guy pulls gun and she shoots her. She finally just killed the guy. It's the first guy that she's killed in the series.
Well, and again, we talked about the very first episode how it was kind of silly, where she's in a dinosaur mouth and doesn't want to use the sniper rifle and all that.
Yes.
But now you look at what's happening to her; it's progress in a sense. Like, what
Hmm.
progress doesn't mean positively; it just means you can see where it's going and changing. So, um, now she's willing to kill. Now she's willing to do drugs. All she's got to start doing now is drinking.
Yeah. Smoking.
No, but yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's just I thought her stuff is the best, and I started taking a bit of a different approach for an episode or two ago. And my final thought is this: again, these episodes to me are hit and miss. They're hot and cold with the stuff I like and don't like. But what I liked about this episode was we saw it seemed like a bit more of what I would just call it the Fallout game vibe to it. I like the feeling like they're Western when you're going to a new town and seeing the culture and the people walk around. That's cool, right? And I liked her figuring her out on her own that something was amiss and just reacting to it. She didn't sweet talk her way. She didn't try doing anything with like the Home Alone episode there about trying to make like she's not a virgin, using those words on. That was kind of stupid. But we see her now just going, oh, I can do this, right? And so we're seeing a little character development out of her. Okay, we know what the ghoul can do. We haven't seen much, but there's an ending that I think you want to describe here quickly and make a good point about it.
Um. Yeah.
I did not like this.
So Lucy goes up to the hotel room, and she sees Cooper in there, and Cooper is like, hey, I'm sorry. It's like, what? And he's like, and the ghoul, the guy, the snake ghost man, he shows up dressed like a Mormon. He's kind of he literally looks like he had the Church of Latter-day Saints outfit on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, here, I'm gonna live. He's like, here to live the message from your father. He's like, what? And it's like, your father wants you to return back to the vault, and wait out what's gonna happen. Basically, leading to the expectation that we're led to believe that he's gonna drop another nuke or something. And
right.
Yeah,
it's going down. I don't know what it is, but it's going down.
Yeah, because he wants to. The whole plan for Vault-Tec, remember, was to wipe out everybody on top and then come back up. And so this is his plan because everybody survived up there. He wants everyone gone, and he's trying to finish his ultimate goal. So we're really led to believe that that her father is the one that probably started the whole entire, destroyed the world.
Yeah,
it wasn't in Vault-Tec. It was just he was a rogue guy, did it by his own. So this guy, and Lisa's like, well, I'm not going there. And Cooper is like, well, hey, my wife and child, daughter, are in that tower over there, the one that's guarded by the death claws that your father's in. And I was like, I can't get to that and see them. There's a chance, that that I get to see them. He'll leave them alone because he says he could kill them. He could really wake them up, the wrong way and just tamper with the devices,
So in other words, instead of saying she's Lucy, this hot young woman that's smart and capable and all that, the other word that we use here in the hood, she's bait.
Well, yeah, she pretty much you were just for bargain. That's all you were. That's and he shoots her the dart, knocks her on. He's like, here's the thing about family. Family is a tricky subject, or whatever. I think he said something like that. And so the other guy leaves. He's like, perfect, I'll go let him know. You're gonna take her back to the vault and stuff. And as he's sitting there, standing there, Lucy gets back up, puts on the one power glove she'd stolen, and punches him.
The 5-knuckle sandwich, buddy.
Yeah.
With that.
She gave him a hug punch, pretty much a hug buster punch, which I think is those
smash.
I love those. That they have it in Fallout 4. Had those in New Vegas. Had these gloves. All these things are awesome. If you just want to do melee and punch people, you don't need guns. Just, you can take out stalkers, just punching them stuff. And so you see Cooper flies out the window and he's falling there. And he's like, this is usually like when those movies are started. He's like, now you're wondering how he got in this situation. As he's falling down, he lands impaled on a steel bar, square bar, vertically. And she's like, I trusted you, and you're it's I thought we had something really going here. And then she falls down again, but then she's kind of being waken up a little bit, or at least come to again. She sees her father standing over her butt and just like, okay, hey baby girl, and it's like, and it ends with that. It's just like, what the hell? But that was kind of messed up. But Yeah, I want to go over like as far as also too than just this episode. This was directed by Liz Friedlander. She's the one that did the Profligate, the one with Molly Culkin, the one we really didn't like much either.
Yeah, the Home Alone one.
Yeah, Home Alone one.
I'm
Yeah,
not a Virgin's Beach.
and that was Chaz Hawkins who also did the screenwriter for that one. That Profligate. So the one here, but the one right here though is Owen Ellickson. He is the co-executive producer of the series. And I was looking to see, this is the only episode that he's written out of the 2 seasons. You know.
Well, I know they have a season 3 coming, and we'll see if they
Yeah.
go to
Oh,
4 and
sure.
5.
But you are point like, you know,
fit in.
how long is this plot gonna go out? Are they gonna is the guy from Twin Peaks, is he gonna die at the end of the season?
You're not killing Kyle. No.
Like, or they reveal like his is Cooper's wife gonna be like come out and be like, yeah, I'm begging, you know, I'm evil, and just like, yes.
Well, I mean, I think they were divorced, right? So at some point,
we don't know they're divorced. There's no inclination of divorce. Just have a talk because he keeping secrets from each other. So I don't think they're divorced. I just think the fact that
they don't seem to
in the
with each other even from the get-go.
So when the bombs dropped, you know, yeah, he got obviously he was with his daughter when the first bomb dropped. I remember that in the very first season.
Yes.
So I don't know, and he was doing parties. Maybe they were divorced. I don't know. But I'm curious though how his daughter got into a vault thing. So
I do want to know that because like we do kind of care about Lucy, but I think what's going to happen is his family, meaning his wife and all that, is going to be like bad.
Well, I think his daughter will be like the only redeeming grace.
The ghoul's going to be like, oops, I fucked up. Now I've got to make it right by going and helping Lucy with whatever her mission's going to be.
Do you think Cooper is going to like bite at the end? They're going to kill up Walter Goggins. It's going to be at the end. The end's going to be Lucy and Cooper's daughter, and that's it.
I think we're going to see a third party. Not going to say introduced, but because we already will probably know what it is at this point, whether it's the one lady from the end of the season 1. They're going to bring in something like that because it's going to end with him living and her. Now, what sometimes what happens in these situations is they'll start like the next season with both of them on like a completely different path, and then they meet up again a little bit later. Kind of like how like Luke Skywalker went to the yoga, do his thingy, and eventually caught up to them in the next movie. You know, you have to go down your own path. I think that's what they're targeting it for by teasing their separation now. So when they get back together, they have the common purpose they can unite with and make it right for season 3. I think that's how they're setting it up, showing her grow a little bit. Showing, he's not just a great guy after all. He's using her as bait and everything too. And then finally we get Kyle here at the end or whatever. And I think he's the puppet in it. To be honest with you, I do. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm speculating here, and that's the fun part about the show because we don't know what happened to the past.
Yeah.
If we do find out and know, which I think we should know, it should matter in the future. It should allow us to enjoy how we see it. It shouldn't be when the show's ending, then we find out who did it. That would be bullshit to me. Really, you didn't need to know it, in my opinion, to make this show work. Like I said, you could add her coming out of the vault in day 1 and somebody from, you know, a different vault a couple seasons in or episodes in and start it that way. And we figured maybe they would meet. You could definitely do that. So, like I say, pretty standard for what we're talking about here, but it feels like it's starting to ramp up here towards the end of the season for me.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're not watching this, you're not really missing out. You know, it's okay. I mean, this is one of those shows I describe it. It looks pretty, but it doesn't have enough substance to basically to keep you coming back for more. Unless you really are intrigued by, like, you know, Lucy. You know, I mean, her hotness can only bring me back so much. but other than that, though, I said like.
She's perfectly cast in it, and she's a great actor.
I like.
It makes me watch the show because she's really good at her role.
The very first season, though, with Norm, at first I didn't care about him, but then he had this huge character growth, and like, dude, Norm's a badass. It's like I want to know more about Norm. He's defying stuff. He's like, you know, just
contrary.
Learning stuff. Yeah, that's why I want more Norm, and I want the Lucy and Norm teaming up to take down their father.
But you know what we're gonna get next episode? More Max.
Of course.
Why give me Max? Why?
Because you're not maxed out yet.
Why?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nah.
Well, thanks everybody for listening, checking us out here. Obviously, Fall is a very popular show. We do enjoy watching it and covering it here too, even if it's kind of mid or hot and cold for us there too. So let us know what you guys think about it too. If you've got any conspiracy theories about what you think is happening, because again, they're just taking it as IP and doing what they want with it. And the fact that they're switching writers and this and that a little bit here and there, and directors, maybe it's the showrunner that actually knows what's going on, or like a lot of times when you do write by committee instead of by singular purpose. They don't know yet, because that's kind of how sometimes these episodes feel. So for better or for worse, that's what we're dealing with. And we'll see you guys next week on episode 6, season 2 of Fallout. Good night now.
Thanks for watching. See you guys on Tuesday.